What's up, everybody? Will here at Schedule Fly. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a great episode you're about to listen to with Anthony Cerrato. Anthony's up in Asheville, North Carolina. He owns 3 places there: Strada, Italiano, Social Lounge, and Gemelli's. Gemelli's is new. We spoke for an hour and 15 minutes, and we've already decided we got to do a second episode. We had to cut it short. He had an appointment. We got at least another hour and a half of content that I'd like to cover with him. Anthony is a very thoughtful, intentional, deep thinking, pleasurable man to speak with. And I thoroughly enjoyed hearing his thoughts on what it means to be an independent restaurant owner, what restaurants mean to their communities, why it's so important for he and his team to provide the type of experience that they want to provide. What a great conversation. This really gets to the heart and the essence and the soul of what an independent restaurant should aspire to be. And this is just a very philosophical conversation. So not a lot of tactical, daily stuff like lease negotiation and things like that. So this, if you're into that, that's not what we got into here. We really got into, what this is all about, why we all do what we do. And I love those kinds of conversations. So a couple of notes or a word from our sponsors here, and then enjoy this episode. And today is Wednesday, October, I don't know, whatever it is, the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th. I'm recording an episode with the CEO of Pop Menu today, so it'll be a different take. This is another service provider in the industry, and I'm looking forward to it. In the meantime, enjoy, and more of these coming soon. See you. What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedule Fly. This episode is sponsored by Schedule Fly. If you don't love the way that you schedule and communicate with your staff at your restaurant or your bar or your ice cream store or coffee shop or distillery or winery or brewery or boutique hotel, we would love the chance to earn your business. And you can try us for free with no commitment, no obligation, no credit card, nothing up front. Go to schedulefly.com. Click free trial. You get 30 days. You can try it out. My personal cell phone number is right there on the trial sign-up page. So if you got any questions, call me, text me. I'll get back to you. We have 6,000 restaurants, about 250,000 end users. And the reason I'm willing to put my cell phone number on there is because our software is so simple that we have so little support demand that it's very easy for us to be very responsive when we need to be. So we've been building this business for 15 years through word of mouth. We have, like I said, 6,000 customers, and we'd love to have, if you're on pencil and paper, you're on Excel, you're on a scheduling platform that you're paying a lot of money for, that has a lot of bells and whistles that you don't need, or it's complicated, or it's hard to use, give us a shot. We built this business on simple, super easy to use software and legendary customer support. And we'd love for you to try it for 30 days and give us a chance to earn your business. You'll be very happy if you do. The other sponsor of this episode is Flip, F-L-Y-P, Flip Mobile Banking. So if you go to flipmoney.com, and again, that's F-L-Y-P, or find them in the App Store, this is a cool business. We know the folks that started this. They're great folks, and it's got a great product, and people that have been using it that have used our promo code have been very happy. You have a mobile banking account, checking account. You have a debit card, your Flip card. And every time you use that Flip card, you go to your app on your phone and you spin the Flip wheel, and you can win up to 110% cash back. If you don't win cash, you can win some Flip coins. Flip coins can be used, they'll go into a drawing and you can win prizes. So you can use this thing at 37,000 ATMs. There's no fees. There's no minimum account fee. None of these things that banks typically charge. So if you don't love your bank, if you're not like, man, my bank is awesome and cool and cares about me, check out Flip. Great product, great support, very similar to our ethos here at Schedule Fly. Happy to tell you about them and hope you'll give it a shot. If you do sign up, an additional benefit is if you use the promo code ScheduleFly, then once you've funded the account and spent $100, they'll give you $20. Just no questions asked. $20 will go right into your account. So flipmoney.com, promo code ScheduleFly. Check them out. Last thing I'll say, pause this right now if you don't mind. Give us a rating on your whatever podcast you're using, whatever podcast player. Give us a rating. Ratings mean so much, particularly if you add comments in there. That's how these algorithms spread this podcast to more people. The more people that are listening, the more people are going to get value and learn from other restaurant people, and everybody wins. So pause it, give us a rating, unpause, go on, and and enjoy this episode. Thanks for listening. Bye. All right, we're good. Okay, so we're live. So, well, first of all, let's just do this. Anthony, just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anthony Cerrato, owner of and co-founder and executive chef of Strada, Italiano, Social Lounge, and Gemelli.
And Gemelli's new.
It is, yeah. It means twins or Gemini in Italian.
You have twins, right?
And my wife is Gemini. So
there we go.
We have twins.
That's cool. Yeah, and we're here in Asheville, North Carolina. And okay, well, where do we start? Because I read, well, actually, let's start with the twins, because I was reading some of the articles that you had been in, and at the time, there was one at, I guess it was like Asheville Buncombe Technical College. Mm-hmm. They had interviewed you, and at the time you had two kids, but you had twins on the way. I didn't see what the date was. So how old are your twins?
So they're 2.5.
Okay.
A little over 2.5 now.
Okay.
But my birthday is August 29th. That's their half birthday. They were born February 29th of 2020. So they're leap day babies.
Ooh, you had twins on February 29th of 2020, huh?
Yeah, actually, it was pretty. That's a whole story in itself. We started witnessing the shutdown of the hospital as we were getting ready to exit the hospital, because with twins, it's not uncommon for them to be premature.
Sure. Yeah.
So they were. Elizabeth was born first, 13 minutes earlier than Larissa. Elizabeth was 4 pounds 12 ounces, so she made the weight cutoff to go into the regular, nursery. Well, Larissa she's still very, like, Jenny's family's kind of very small, for thin framed. So Larissa takes after them, their body type. So she was 4 pounds 3 ounces. So she didn't make the cutoff for
What's
weight.
the cutoff?
I think it's like 4'8".
Golly.
So
okay.
she was a few pounds, 4'6", something like that. She was a few ounces shy. So she had to go to NICU, and there was no other reason other than weight. But because they do drop some weight too. So she was under 4 pounds at one point, and then she had a high bilirubin, and we were in a transition room. So once, Elizabeth was released like 3 days after birth. So we went upstairs for the transition room, and we were there for about another 10 days. Yeah, and then luckily, it was really great that I feel like there's no mistakes. There's no coincidences. Like, there's a reason why all that happened. Jenny had a reaction to the epidural, all the pain meds that they gave her, to where that on that third or fourth night that she was in the hospital, and luckily she was still in the hospital because we were in that transition room in NICU with both babies. Her leg swelled up, and we had to go down to the emergency room and figure out what's going on. They thought it was actually congestive heart failure or something like that, but it actually just wound up being a reaction to the, which was still severe, but it was a reaction to the medications and stuff like that. So, but then Larissa's bilirubin was high, and they thought, like, well, since they're twins, Elizabeth's might be high too, but Elizabeth was actually discharged, but staying in the hospital, so she's not able. They weren't really supposed to give her any food or any kind of medications or anything like that. So they made us exit the hospital with her, which she's not able to come back once she leaves.
Okay.
To go get checked out at the pediatric thing. Her bilirubin was fine. Ironically, Elizabeth's blood type is my blood type, which is different from Jenny's, and Larissa's blood type is Jenny's blood type. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it just goes to show, even though they're twins and They're just not the same baby.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
two totally different babies. They're not identical. They're fraternal.
Okay. Okay.
So, and even their personalities now are very different. But
Mm.
but then we witnessed. I was like coming back one day, and I was like, "Hey, I couldn't get in the same door I left," and they were like, "Oh, maybe this is like maybe there was some kind of domestic violence, and they shut that door on that side because that's like protocol or something." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the next day it was like even more lockdown, and it was like only one entrance we could come in and out of, and I was like, "What is going on?" So when we got home, we called the health department for some things and stuff like that, and we asked them like, "Hey, we're hearing about this virus and stuff. Is it, should we be concerned for our babies or like what's going on and everything?" And they were like, "Oh no, it's just like a really bad flu. Don't worry about it." And I was like, and then a few days later it was like the pandemic. So
Yeah, I mean, it happened really fast here at the end.
Yeah.
When we went from being like, to just
it went from a really bad flu to lockdown.
get everything shut down immediately. Yeah. So you've got twins at home, and then you have two other kids.
Yep. Maya is 12 and Vera is 10. And they're like little moms to the babies. they help out so much. And then I have a 27-year-old son from my first marriage.
Oh, wow. Well,
so there's a 25-year gap between the babies, between the first and the last.
Well, I can't imagine what it must have been like going into COVID with, just
that many kids. Yeah.
Well, that many kids, two of them, which were born premature, which are twins, which are babies, and you don't know what's going on with this virus, and you're probably worried sick about whether they could get it and what could happen, and then you happen to be in hospitality.
Yeah, and we have Jenny's mom is still living with us, but she kind of moved here to help with the babies, and she's immunocompromised and older, and so it's just like she was with us as well at that time. So it was kind of really stressful, and and then the restaurant, at that time I just had Strada and Social Lounge downtown. I just got on the phone right away. I came downtown. We started organizing things. We shut down. Had to lay everybody off. I kept a few people on just to do, takeout, and that was it. We kind of took that time to really evaluate things and how we did things and see what we can change. And we let go of some old beliefs and just kind of like threw caution to the wind and say, "Hey, this is what we got to do now." Instead of overthinking things, it really forced us to tighten our belts, make decisions that we were kind of teetering on making in the past, like lunch.
I was going to say, what's an example of that? You had
lunch was a big thing. We were wanting to stay open for the community, and we had some regulars and locals that really loved our lunch program, but it was so sporadically busy and it's hard to schedule for stuff like that. So it just was something that really wasn't serving us, for a really long time, but we were keeping it, and it's, that drains profitability, over time. So we just made that decision, like, okay, we're open for dinner only.
Okay.
And we're gonna take that energy from lunch, and we're gonna refocus it, redirect it on brunch. So we're gonna do a really cool, elevated brunch, only on the Social Lounge side. So we can use the rooftop and all the bars and all that stuff from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So, and then we said, well, okay, we'll stay open from 3 to 10 for dinner service 7 days a week. You pay a mortgage 7 days a week, you might as well, or rent.
Yeah.
So 24 hours a day, but we're not going to, be open at all that hours. So our dinner service was always very strong. So we just wanted to build on that. So how do we do better, make things better, more efficient, build on our strengths. So we elevate the menu, and we started making all fresh pasta. And that led into more and more and more, because it was really well received. And we just took some menu things on, and we put some traditional comfort foods on that I was kind of fighting against putting on in the past.
Why is that?
Because I wanted to keep it like authentic Italian, like Italy Italian, and like. But I gotta tell you, it's ironic. But chicken parm and eggplant parm are like people love it, and they come here and then.
So that's not really authentic Italian.
I mean,
it's not as big a part of the.
No, it's more of an American thing.
Okay.
But it's definitely well received.
Yeah.
And we do actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but we make ours gluten free. So we use potato panko, which I'm getting ready to switch that to a rice panko because it's a little bit crisper and it doesn't have that. It has a very clean flavor profile.
Okay.
It kind of takes on the flavor of the chicken and the fresh herbs and the that are in the batter or the breading. So making these changes, and then I got on the phone right away with my lender, and it was just like, hey, for the mortgage on the buildings, and I was just like, hey, I'm gonna need a forbearance or something.
Yeah.
And they got on it right away. This is before the PPP and everything else happened, and my SBA loan, I would start working with these guys right away, and they kind of did some things to help mitigate, like, the stress.
Who's your lender?
First Horizon.
Okay.
Is who
Props to them. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they're great, really great people to work with. I think they're in the process of becoming TD Bank. But
TD Bank bought them? Okay. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes in January.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes through, or I think that's what they want as well.
Yeah.
Which TD Bank is actually really great too. I've had all great experiences with them in the past and everything. So
Yeah.
they seem like they're really into like helping people.
Good.
Yeah.
Helping small businesses, man. That's
that's their niche market. So, yeah, I mean, we just kind of like, I don't want to, like, that word pivot was overused, but we just really kind of like, for us, it was more about refocusing and letting go of, we didn't do anything that we didn't want to do in the past, but we were afraid to do it.
makes sense.
And it just when your back is against
Force
the
your
wall.
hand.
Yeah, when your back's against the wall, you got to go with your gut and react the way you feel is the best thing, and that's what we did.
Blessing in disguise. I mean,
it's COVID actually helped us. I mean, we had
Yeah.
a 54% increase in 2021.
Really?
Over 2019.
yeah.
And
Well,
so and I think, our verbiage, we're very, we have to remember that in the hospitality industry, we're here to help people forget about their day. We're here to create an experience that is memorable, and that is based all around hospitality. So grumpy faces and, talking about how bad your tip was and all that stuff is just not something that we like to tolerate in our culture at Strada and Gemelli and Social Lounge. It's not about that. We're all here to make money, but like, if you give proper service and you're educated on the menu and all the things that you're supposed to be selling and stuff like that, and you help people navigate through the menu, you help them and create a great experience for them, the money is a byproduct of all that.
yes. Love that.
And success is a byproduct of doing an excellent job. And I started off as a dishwasher, and now I have multiple restaurants, and it's not because I was, not because I was a dishwasher. It's because I was here. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all good.
Yeah.
That's
it's because I started from the bottom, like, well, I wouldn't say bottom. It's not bottom. It's a great job, I think. It's very, that position is like key to the rest. It's like really, it's all, everything focal point of like everything that's going on. So if you don't have that position well manned, your restaurant's not going to run well.
Yep.
But it's a foundational position. So I started out at that foundation of what a restaurant, what it takes for a restaurant to run, and I built on each level. And it just, every time I did something, when I was a dishwasher, I wanted to be the best dishwasher there was.
Yep.
When I was, garde manger pantry or whatever you want to call it, salads, making salads, I tried to make the most consistent, best salads that I could possibly make, and I wanted to learn, and I researched on my own time, and And when I was doing backstage catering and stuff like that, working for other people, entertaining catering, there was a lot of like, this is back in, I guess, the early 90s. There was a lot of like vegan and vegetarian and stuff like I wasn't really familiar with, and I just researched and I didn't like. I heard a lot of like, oh yeah, vegan food's gonna taste like cardboard or whatever, and I was just like, no, I wanted the flavor profile to be as close to the most like the real thing and be like, give them, the best thing I could possibly make for them. So I had like people like Sting ask me for like recipes for my Japanese eggplant recipe that I did for him and stuff like that. And then, soups that I made that were vegan.
Whoa. Hold on. You know Sting?
Yeah, Sting. Yeah. I made a Japanese eggplant for him that was like...
Was he was here visiting or something? And
no, this was back in probably 96, 97.
Okay.
When I was cooking at Walnut Creek backstage.
Okay.
As a chef. And that was...
That's pretty freaking cool.
It is. It was really hard work. Yeah,
but you gave a recipe to Sting, man.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
I wrote it down on a napkin.
That is cool, man.
He wanted to meet me, and I was like, I don't want to meet Sting. I do want to meet Sting, but I can't. I was just like really busy and really nervous, and I was pretty young in my early 20s, and I was just like too nervous to talk to Sting. I was like,
right. That's pretty intimidating.
Yeah. So I gave it to one of the ladies, and I was like, hey, this is the recipe. Tell him I really thank him for me, and tell him I would love to have met him, but I just can't right now. and then he did that and stuff. So he was super nice guy, super down to earth. A lot of people were, the people that were not very nice were sometimes like not the most popular anymore.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know why they were so grumpy, but yeah, there's some experiences there. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
but,
sure. Sorry. I mean, I had to, you can't just say I gave a recipe to Sting and keep rolling with like it. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But it was just, that was a job that was like really hard. It was a really small kitchen, very limited equipment. I mean, the kitchen was probably 12 by 12.
Okay.
Not even, in some parts. And there was not a lot of equipment in there. It was a very small hood. I think it was like maybe a 5-foot or 6-foot hood or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was long hours. I would work anywhere from 10 to 16, 17, 18 hours. Sometimes you just lay down in one of the changing rooms and do late night food for them, for the buses. And then the next crew would be coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning. So you have to be there starting breakfast, so I just like lay down for like 3 hours, get up and do another 16-hour day, and
that's a hell of a grind, man.
It is. And it is a different time.
Not a lot of that now.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if people would do that.
I don't think people are willing to do that now. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it. And I think we know more about.
I had someone tell me sometime, a consultant tell me sometime to me about like, it doesn't matter. People don't want to know about what you did, or it doesn't matter to them. They just want to know about now and stuff.
Yeah.
And I see that, and I agree with that, and on some levels. But I feel like losing the story and stuff like that. And it's not like, oh, when I was a kid, I walked up to school 17 miles uphill both ways, in 17 feet of snow. It's not like that. It's these are real, true stories about how chefs were treated and how chefs worked, and like it's a different. I think should be an appreciation of that, and it's not about bragging. It's not about bragging. It's just saying like, hey, this is why I don't want my people to work this hard,
right?
Because I've already done that. It doesn't make sense for you to have to do that. We've already paved. I look at this business as like, we paved the way. Okay, it's like building a city, right? So you have someone that comes in, or building a house. You come in and you do we don't clear cut. We try to like do, intentional clearing.
Right.
Kind of keep some natural foliage and trees and all this other stuff. But there's grading that's involved. So you do the grading, you build a basement, you dig out a basement, you put up the foundation, and you start, then you can put up the wood framing and all this other stuff, right? So there's a method in building a house and building a road or whatever. And it's the same thing when you're building a business or building an industry. There's a method behind that, and some of the hardest work is the beginning, right? Is paving the way.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need somebody to come back and repave and
Right.
regrade your place. Now it's time for the new talent to come up and, start putting some like super cool fixtures in the place, or, doing some, eco-friendly, sheetrock or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a next step. And then eventually the roof and the shingles and all the other stuff come on. So, and I explained this to my son too. It's like, I'm not expecting you to work as hard as me. I'm just expecting you to be engaged into the process that you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. And be committed to that.
Yeah. And it's good to understand why what is here got here, and how, what the foundation is and why.
So there's an appreciation because it's, and I explain this to the guys that are working in Strada now. It was a long 10 years. Strada's 10 years old. And, what we did in the past 10 years, there was a lot of people involved in making it this, where we are today.
Yeah.
And the success that we're achieving today was built from a lot of work from a lot of different people, and to me, it's the most highly disrespectful thing to not appreciate that and not listen to the story behind that, because it's the motivating force to keep the legacy going, keep making sure that the integrity is intact from all these people. It's just the most, to come in and be like, oh, you're super successful, you can do this, you can do that, or whatever. It's not about that. It's
right.
about making sure that we stay sustainable and that we still keep and do better, so we can do better for our staff, and we can do better for the community. We can do better. We could just do better, period. And it's not like that nothing's ever good enough. It's not about that. It's more about just becoming a more efficient, great culture to work in place. That's it. And giving people the opportunity to come here and have an experience that they're not that they know is consistent, and they feel like they're part of something, and they can forget about their day. There's so many things that we can't control outside our walls that why not control a great experience inside our walls?
This mentality is, all that you've just expressed, going back to why we don't want to have, complaining about a tip or whatever. Because if you do that, then you get in a bad mood. Then you provide crappy service probably to the next table. There's always going to be some table that tips poorly, but it just and then it kind of flows, and then then it affects your coworkers. Here's the thing, like the amount of intention and thought. Everything you just talked about. These things, and I totally share that. The money in it has to be the byproduct of a bigger picture and a higher intention.
Right.
I get that. You get that. It's why you've been successful at what you do. Big part of it. How do you make
that translate to the?
Yeah. How do you make that translate to some young guy or young gal who's serving tables that's just working here? Are you very mindful of that in the hiring process? Because that to me seems more like are you wired with empathy or these things that maybe, I don't know, are they trainable? Or is it something where you try to find people that think that way and then you can train them to cook or serve or tend bar or whatever? It just seems to me like such a hard thing to, if you could take that thought process and replicate it and scale it, well, wow. That'd be like magic in a bottle, but you can't, and it's hard. And it seems, particularly in this labor market, where it's already hard to find people to work anyway, I'm just so fascinated. How do you find people that you've got one in Carly? She's fantastic, and she's been with you a while, and she's amazing. But those people are not easy to find.
No, I don't know. I think a lot of the restaurant industry is hospitality industry in general is it's a really hard industry. I mean, it can beat you up. It can make you jaded, even if the best of us can get jaded with it. And you have to fight that because it's not the reality of like, I'm very much like a believer that anybody can do anything that they want to do. That was pretty much instilled in me as a child with my grandparents. And my grandparents are like, you can be anything you want to be. They told me that from like when my most, beginning memory is them telling me stuff like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not the narrative today, for a lot of people, and it hasn't been for a while. I still believe that though, and because I see it, I've lived it, and I see the younger generation that's like in the high school right now and stuff like that. They're really hard workers. They want to work hard, and they really are engaged. A lot of them, I think we're starting to see some of the issues that technology and social media and all stuff has brought on. A lot of parents have kind of shifted away from doing that. Look like what's that, Ashton Kutcher? What did he do? He said his kids aren't going to be on social media until they're old enough and everything.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see a big shift it just kind of took away the interpersonal skills that people learn from dealing with people face to face. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm seeing a correction in that. I'm really excited about what the next, because these kids are going to age into the workforce even in a big way in the next 5 years. So I feel like the restaurant industry is going to really have hospitality industry is going to have a real big resurgence of staff. I feel, very hopeful for that.
Oh, I love it.
And I'm seeing it already. I mean, there's no industry that is, I don't know, in my opinion, I feel, maybe I'm biased, but I don't feel like there's any industry that's better than this industry. Where can you go, not spend a ton on education for yourself to get a job that you can be making, almost six figures or into six figures, and not have to take the work home with you, and not have a huge debt from schooling, So,
amen, brother. I mean,
last year I had a part-time bartender that made $89,000.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's just they had a lot of flexibility in their schedule. They worked really hard when they were here, but that's what hospitality is.
Man,
you're serving people. You're literally catering to people's needs.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's never going to be an easy task, But in Buncombe County alone, I know that there's some statistics about. I think the biggest growth in industry was hospitality. So that just brings all kinds of revenue from taxes and everything else back to the community, back to the city, and the county. So, some of the stuff that happened during the lockdowns is people kind of corrected, readjusted things as needed. And I'm starting to see a correction that's actually was something that was kind of like a conundrum for me since I started. Is like the server, it was always that back of house, front of house kind of division.
Right. Yeah.
And the reason that there's a division, it's all about, it's financial. There's a resentment there because these, without the back of the house, you don't really have a need for the front of house, and without the front of house, there's the back of the house can't execute.
Yeah.
So, so they both need each other. They both work in tandem with each other. So it's you have to appreciate that. So, but the gross lopsidedness of how the pays were, because even if a server would make $213, they still made on a daily basis way more. Sometimes 4 or 5 times more than what the hourly pay would be for a kitchen staff.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, some of these things you're starting to see service charges on menus. Some states are like, I think it's a little overreach, like 18% and stuff like that. It's a lot. I mean, I don't know how that's even. Yeah, but
Well,
you
that's
know,
sustainable, but
yeah, I don't see how you can do that. But like a 2-3%, I mean, that's really we're talking about for every $100 you spend at a restaurant, it might be $2 or $3. Like that's a tip to the kitchen.
yeah,
And why not? If you had a great meal, you had a great experience, why would you not want to share that with them? You know,
sure,
you know, and it's not, you're not. The misconception is like, I don't see why I have to pay for your overhead. You're not at $2. You're not paying for my overhead.
yeah,
That goes directly to the person that cooked your food.
yeah,
Okay, and it's incentive for them to continue to cook your food when you go out.
right.
So why
right.
would you not want that? You want, because
Yeah.
if you look at grocery prices, they're not that much different from going, like, it's pretty expensive now. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple bags of groceries from, or
Oh, yeah.
one bag from a big natural food store that I won't name on here.
Oh shoot, man! You don't even get a
it's
bag.
$215.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
it goes
I can't-
fast.
Yeah, it doesn't. Your money doesn't go very far at some of these grocery stores anymore. Even the more conventional grocery stores. I mean, the cost of food's just up. Period. You know.
Big time. Yeah.
And then you got to go home and get the meal plan. Go buy it. Go home. Prep everything. Cook everything. Clean up everything. You know, it's and that's great. Yeah, people should do that. I mean, the breaking of bread is it's very intimate and you know, it's a very serious situation. Like with it's family time at the table.
Yeah.
You know, where you have the conversations that lead to, you know, that bond that you're creating with your family, with your friends, or whatever. So, and we're just here to help mitigate that. So, like, where people used to have family dinners at home, like the restaurant industry has now become the family dining room table.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm very honored to be part of that because I knew how important that was of a big Italian family that I grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, my whole family would get together and have meals like 2 or 3 times a week minimum. Definitely on Sunday. But,
yeah.
But we would do it probably Saturday as well, and probably at least one a day during the week, midweek on Wednesday or something. We get together. And if it was a holiday week, we were together the whole week. Like
right.
All my cousins were like siblings to me growing up.
Yeah.
So, but the memories and the bonds and you know, that's when you find out what's going on with your children, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when the stories are told and you get the history of the family, and it gives you a sense of belonging and pride. Like, there's nothing wrong with being proud about where you came from.
Sure.
You know, no matter what anybody says nowadays, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, so that family unity is kind of slipping. So if we can create that to where people can be, you know, have a great experience, and that's what I think what's getting lost in translation to like staff and stuff like that you were asking about.
Yeah.
How do you get them? It's just like by telling these kind of beliefs and making sure that people understand what you're not here just to serve food to a person or let it be an order taker. You're here to give a great experience. You're here to give them the room to where they have the time to actually have conversations and stuff like that, and get to and some people want to be entertained. You know, they want more from you. You have to really gauge your guest and give them what they need.
Yeah.
You know, so but the biggest thing is, like, for us is just continuity and leading by example. We have a very service oriented leadership style. So basically that means, like, we're here to support the staff. Like, leadership supports the staff. You know, it's not just say, oh, go do this, go do that. They actually are working with them, working on making sure that they have everything they need and they're set up for success.
Yeah.
And that's a leadership style that I truly believe really works in this industry. You know, like there's nothing that I haven't done in the restaurant business, or at the restaurant that I would never ask somebody to do something that I haven't done already.
Right.
Okay. And if they don't want to do it, I'll do it. I mean, I've washed dishes here not that long ago, you know, so it's just, I don't know, you just got to lead by example. And then the continuity of having like people like Carly, that's been with me for nearly 2 decades. It's over 15 years.
Yeah.
Jason Landers is another one that's it's 18 years we've been working together. I got another Jason Greenwich who's working with me for like 20 years. He was actually working with my father before me. Both Jasons were. So, that's a long time. Vlad Marto is our corporate chef.
Yeah.
He started off as doing prep and working on the line, and now he's the corporate chef for us. And it's going on 9 years. Yep. So, 9 years, almost 10. So, it's those. I'm really proud that people have latched themselves to my vision, and really helped like build it with me,
Man, you said something earlier that I couldn't agree more, and you just articulated multiple examples of that, which is it's this industry where you can come in here. It doesn't matter where you went to school, what race you are, what background is if you're willing to come in here and work hard with your team and work hard for your team and serve customers and focus on them and provide them a great experience, then you can be as successful as you want to be, and you can go from the foundational position like bussing or washing dishes to move your way up through the ranks and be a GM, and then maybe you even go and start your own place one day, and without anything other than just a good heart and a servant's heart and a good work ethic and a team mentality. It's a great industry for that. I love the industry, man. We've been serving this industry for 15 years, and I've done, I don't know, close to 400 podcast episodes now, and I never ever get to, I'd do this every day if it's all I could do, because I think it's such an amazing industry. You'll never find any good, like, awesome community where you start asking, like, okay, well, why is that place awesome? Like, why is Asheville awesome? Well, I mean, like, the first 2 or 3 things anybody's going to say, well, man, there's all these like freaking awesome independent restaurants and local businesses. It always comes down to, like, every great community's got a bunch of great independent restaurants that just, that people love and that people want to go to all the time and that people travel far away from to go to. And it's a huge foundation for that, for any wonderful place to be. So I just completely share that. I don't know how you do what you do. Like, I do this because I'm like,
I don't either.
Maybe one day after I talk to enough people, I'd feel like I could do it. But I mean, I've always been like, man, I don't know. The amount of things that you have to deal with on a daily basis is like, it takes the right type. Like, I mean, it takes somebody that, that to their core is, it's what you want to do. Cause I mean, it'll weed you out pretty fast if you think like, oh, I'm a good chef. I'm a good cook at home. I should go start a restaurant. Like, there's so much.
It's not very forgiving, this industry. Well, if you ever look at the review sites, you can see that.
Golly, man, people are something.
Yeah. But you said something earlier, and I think I kind of maybe didn't answer it 100%. You were saying, how do you like hire somebody? Like, do you the vetting process and all that stuff? Well, our questions are geared to kind of figure out their personality a little bit. But people can interview. However, we actually do go beyond that and do like a quick little working interview after we feel like they might be a good fit. So we let them actually come in and work a couple hours, just as like a support thing, not really doing anything too much. It's for front of house and back of the house, and then for compensation, we would feed them for the time that they put in, and then they can figure out, like, they can see the work culture, see how people interact, see how the business flow is, and figure out if they really do want to continue working with us or not. It's a really good way of literally giving them a sense of how things are run, and then actually literally having, like, leaving with a flavor in their mouth of what we provide as well. because they get a meal for free. They can pick anything off the menu,
Sure,
whatever they
sure.
want.
Yeah.
You know,
But it gives you a chance to.
So, yeah, it gives them a chance to experience us as a diner, but also experience as our work culture as well. And that's great. They're watching us, but we're watching them as well.
Right.
At that time, so that's when we make an educated decision, and they have the best sense of what we're going to be like as well, too. So, but to your point earlier about like it's got to be in their DNA. Service has to be part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Like there's not some. You can't train somebody. You can't train, a lion to be a winning racehorse. That's not
right.
They're not going to do that. They might fake it for a second or two, but they're going to go off and be a lion, or whatever. And this is, I wish that was not the case. I wish I could train everybody to be like, have service at the top of their mind, and it's even the people that do have that in their DNA, we're working with the public, it's a struggle to sometimes want to serve,
Yeah.
to be realistic and be honest about everything. It could be a struggle.
Yeah.
So it's super important that we, keep that mindset going and kind of like become actors and making sure that we're, holding on to the vision, the big picture of like why we were here. I think a lot of places struggled, during the pandemic because they had very aggressive, verbiage about like the mask mandates and stuff like that. We honored the mask mandates and made sure that we worked within the guidelines of everything and respected everything. Our verbiage to the guests was very subtle. Okay, if someone really truly had a major problem with it, we made arrangements to help mitigate that and explain better and everything like that. Because like tensions were high.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We're not here to police things. That's not what our industry does. Our industry is to entertain and to help people de-stress, and to come in and it's about hospitality. It's about making people feel good, right? So why would we want to throw something right up in someone's face? You're coming here to forget that. They're not. Why are you going to just reinforce
could not agree more. I remember you get to certain places where it was like, man, forget this. Like,
and then some of those places didn't make it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And it's unfortunate too because there were some really great places that are not here anymore. But that's why there was a lot of fear around everything that happened. Still, people are still getting over it. It's not. We're not over it. It's something that people are still, working through. That's caused a lot of triggers in people's, beings, and these triggers are not easily let go of. So we're still dealing with the aftermath of all that and making sure that we're very kind in our verbiage and help people mitigate through, whatever fear. I try not to make fear-based. I'm afraid of heights. So if there's anything like has to do with heights, I'm right there first in line and make sure I do it because I don't like being afraid of things. So I've rappelled off a 200-foot cliff before in Costa Rica.
Waterfall?
Yeah.
I did that every spring break.
Yeah.
Cool. The course where you do like 6 waterfalls, but the first one was like...
It was so big.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I did that because my kids were there, and I was like, okay, I got to do this like that. I didn't like it. I mean, I liked it after I did it, but I was like freaking out inside. I didn't want to show it, but...
Yeah, exactly. Whew. And I'm super, super, super afraid of heights. And that's why I'm not very tall.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's just... it's funny because the hardest... It's kind of like... It's like a metaphor for life with doing a rappel off of a cliff.
Yeah.
Without trust, you don't have anything. So I
had you had to trust it. Yeah.
So it's like taking that first leap where you have to go backwards.
Yeah.
And just let yourself go and trust that you're going to be okay and that you're secure on that line. You have to trust the guy in front of you saying, let go. And I'm like, it took me a second.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, just like, okay.
Yep.
Throwing caution to the wind. I was like, I just let myself fall. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, I don't know about this. So I did it, and then I going down, there was a little hiccup where my leg got caught into a tree that was coming out of the out of the side of the cliff, and I was upside down, which you don't want to be.
No.
It's like pretty dangerous. So I had to readjust myself and rip my leg off of the tree, which cut me, but it was fine. Everything worked out. And I got down to the bottom, and I was so happy. And you're in a nice pool of water and stuff like that. It was cool. But the view from above, it's just like, if you can just, in times of stuff like that, in times of stress, just know when you're going through it that you're going to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And when you get to the other side, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You achieve something that you never knew that you could achieve before.
Absolutely.
But you have to learn how to enjoy the process.
Yes.
And not look at, oh, I'm on a cliff hanging off, I could fall and I could die. You have to look at like, oh wow, there's a really great tropical bird that just flew by me. You know what I'm saying? And I can see for miles and miles and miles. What a view from up here. You know, and just kind of like start looking at those things and focus on the positive. Not thinking about, oh, I'm working so hard, or, you know, this is awful. I don't know how I'm going to get through today. And, you know, even if I do work this hard today, I might not be able to pay my bills tomorrow. I get all that. I've done all that before.
Been there, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there where, you know, I was, you know, just not making enough money to pay my bills, you know, for a long time, like decades, you know. But I just never lost sight of the goal, you know, and the vision. And you just got to keep. And I, you know, as hard as things were, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of great experiences, and I enjoyed myself through the process. And trust me, there's many, many, many days where I was like, why am I doing this? You know, and second guessing myself. I tried to get out of the industry back in, I think it was like 2003, 2004. Yeah, it was 2003, 2004. I was going to be a Durham police officer.
Really?
Yeah. I went into the academy, and you had to do a running test, and I didn't pass the running test by a few seconds, like literally 3 seconds. And I knew that was like a very strict military type thing. You either pass or you fail. That was my out, because my son at the time was very young, and I didn't live with him because my ex were divorced at the time. And he was really worried about me becoming an officer, because he was like, you know, Dad, there's like, do you know that there's bad people that like to hurt cops?
Yeah.
It's coming from a 6-year-old at the time.
Wow.
And I was just like, yeah, Gabe, I know. That's why I want to do something to help, we can help change that mindset from people that want to do things like that, you know? And he was just like, I just don't think it's a good idea. And I said, he's probably right, because if he's going to be, I don't come home to him every night, and I don't want him worrying about me all the time.
Right.
And if he's going to be looking out the window at school thinking, did my father make it home last night? You know, it's not good for him.
Well, you said earlier, everything happens for, you know, a reason. So that maybe that was the reason you didn't pass that.
So that was one thing. Well, I kind of didn't really push. I made sure I failed it by 2 seconds.
I was going to say, you look like you're a fit dude. Like I would not imagine you not passing some running tests.
Yeah, it was. I just figured I can't do this to him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to back out.
Yeah.
So that was my way of backing.
Okay.
Out, you know?
All right. That's cool.
But it was just, you know, and I just got over bronchitis too, so I really didn't have the push in me. So anyway, then I tried to be a property manager, which they really seek, like restaurant people, especially like in the hospitality industry, because for one, it's about service. Right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to deal with the public and
Yep.
people's living situations and all this other stuff. And so I try to get into it, and they really recruit like chefs in general, because they work really hard, and they're used to working nights, weekends, holidays. And you're like, and as a property manager, you could have multiple, you know, properties that you're in charge of, and you got to call in the middle of the night. You have to go, and the pool's leaking everywhere, and whatever's going on, you have to go out and to the property and at any given time. You know, so ironically, nobody would pick me up, which is odd, because I had such a vast experience with like in leadership, especially. It was always like executive chef or in charge. I worked for Whole Foods for 5 years, and I was their prepared foods team leader in Durham, and then I moved over and opened up the Cary store, and then I did store openings for them and travel around the southeast and northeast, and made all their wood burning pizza recipes for them, and did training in Atlanta and stuff. And
when did you wind up in Asheville?
2005.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was for August 1st of 2004.
2004. And then you opened Strada in 2012?
In 2012, yeah.
Okay.
March 27th. So, yeah, so, I tried to get out of the industry at one point, and there's like, and it just kept pushing me back in.
Yeah, so you just opened Gemelli, like, by the way, thanks for doing this, because I think you just opened it like two or 3 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, this is going on our 4th week.
How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, really well.
Were there delays? Like, what was the process like of trying to get a new place going over the last year with just supply chain stuff and all that? Like,
so my experience with Strada I don't think anybody's ever experienced this before or after. We opened Strada in 30 days. No one's like, so I was working
30 days.
Yeah. The only thing we had was a group of people that we were kind of like, it's kind of like history here. So let's back up a little bit. So I had worked in a family business and had Fiore's and everything with my dad and stuff like that. And I was never the owner. I was supposed to be and all this other stuff, but it never came to fruit. And it was like getting to the point where we needed to separate. So he had closed down pretty suddenly, closed down Fiore's downtown. And so there was myself and a lot of other people were displaced pretty much overnight. So, and there's a whole long thing with that's not necessary to get into, but my father has passed away since and everything, and he and I got together and we made amends on everything and had very long conversations about things and stuff, and I feel like there's a lot of love there, and there always was and always will be and stuff, and he's just, it was a a lot of times people think that you have to learn what to do, but you can also learn a lot of what not to do in life.
Absolutely.
From people and stuff and everything. And I had really great mentors and, up to this point. So we needed a place to go, and my ex-business partner was Eric Booker, and he owned the buildings here. And what happened was he had people in and out, and he was actually part of the resurrection of Tingles. So there was a restaurant in the Strada location that was, they were there, the Tingle family, and they had Tingles Cafe. And they had been there for, I think, like 50 years or something like that. They ran his restaurant or something. And then there was other stores. So after when he bought the buildings, he had another partner, and they wanted to bring back the Tingles history and name and all that stuff. So they got with the family and got permission to do that. And then they had Sazerac as well, which was actually the first true craft cocktail bar in Asheville. So those two businesses were not doing well. Tingles had failed. He went into partnership with somebody else, and that concept failed within 2 months. And then he just rented it to someone else, and I don't even think they made it 6 months. And then he didn't realize it was empty, the restaurant side. And I had called him for the opportunity to kind of look at the building, and he was like, "Well, thanks for letting me know it's empty. I didn't realize that." So he said, "You're first one to call me, so I'll make sure that you're first on the thing." Everything was done with him like a handshake. He was such a nice guy. And he still is a great guy, and I like using him as like a soundboard and figuring out things as well. He has a very astute business mind. So so the whole thing was. He needed somebody and I needed somebody, right? So that's how partners are formed. Neither one of us had great experiences in the past, so we wanted to make sure like we weren't ready to just jump into this together or whatever. So what happened was I didn't want a partner. I just wanted to do the Strada concept, but he needed help with Sazerac because it was kind of like just breaking even, kind of going a little bit in the red, and then it would go a little bit in the black, and go a lot in the red, and a little bit in the black. So it's kind of like not as it was a little bit behind, but not too bad. So he and I just brainstormed, and he asked me my opinion on things, and he was like, that's the things that he was thinking of. So we thought similar on things, and, we made some changes, and right away he handed, like that was in February he started, and then, so the city got together and helped us get permits right away, and make sure that like the city was really great back then about like helping and stuff like that. So, and plus because it was an existing kitchen, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that had to be done. We had a health department permits, and we were working with the airport at the time, and we were sending food to the airport and everything. So we were able to get a quick inspection, continuing to do that and stuff. And I kept people staffed from the other restaurant and stuff. But I didn't have a concept. I didn't have a name for Strada either. So I saw that this was like a major throughway. It's a business business highway on Broadway. So I was just like, there's a main highway through Italy. It's called Strada. Strada means street or a thoroughfare. So I was just like, and then this location was getting known for being like a jinxed location, which I didn't believe. It was so beautiful. I was like, this is not jinxed location. It's operating error, in my opinion. So I just wanted to give the business its power back in the name of the space. So it's a really strong name, Strada.
That's awesome.
It's easy to say.
Yeah.
Sure. When you're dealing with like,
I love the intention behind this. That's cool.
And we were doing street food for lunch at the time too. So it means street in Italian and all this other stuff. So I helped him with Sazerac, and he helped set up Strada, like fund it and everything. And we just worked really well together for 8 years. And I remember the conversation very well in the front window over there at Strada. I was sitting there, and he asked me, he goes, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but would you want to be partners?" And I was like, "But you just told me all this stories about you." And he's like, "Yeah, and you too." And he's like, "But I just think that we'd make a really good team." And I was like, "I kind of do too." We just like talking to each other and stuff. And just like we're doing now. We're just two guys talking to each other and stuff. And it was like, we got along really well, and we thought alike, and we never, ever, ever crossed our lines of authority. Like, he was very much into like doing the banking stuff and like all the like finance stuff, and I was doing the vision and creation and all and a lot of things too. So for us, it was, we just had respect for each other's skill set.
Yeah.
And we took the opportunity to learn from each other's skill set, so we could become more whole on our own as individuals. And that's all you can ask for, really, a partnership.
Amen, man. I mean, that's
and a respect
heck of a partnership right there.
And I told him from day one, I was like, "Hey, are you ever willing to sell the buildings? Because I'm not interested in renting forever."
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to create an heirloom business, that can be passed on. My goal, obviously, would be passed on through family, but if that's not something that they want, I want to, like, one of the staff to inherit it and keep the name going and stuff like that. And because that's how businesses were thought of in the past. You have some old iconic restaurants in New York City that are gone now. Yeah. But since the pandemic, but they were around for 100 plus years, and why not? It's not
right. Absolutely.
Not about making your money right now and then it's like saying forget it. It's these things can. If you build something like this, I don't see why you wouldn't want it to be that way and have people like all thriving from it and having multiple families, affording a great living and stuff. So that's what we're going for. So it was all happened in 30 days. We had a menu. And because we all worked together, we worked really well together.
Yeah.
So we came up with the name. We developed a menu. We developed training for everyone, and I kept everybody busy. If they had to move the table and clean it 5 times that week, then that's what they had to do to make money, It was just all about that. And plus, we were keeping people busy at Sazerac as well. And in April of 2012, he handed me a check for $10,000. And I was like, what's this? And he was like, that's profit sharing from Sazerac. And I was like, what? I never ever got that before. So I was just like, oh. And so we've developed where I incentivize leadership and staff that way too. Like the front of house is already incentivized that way.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's why we got to make sure that we do that with the back of the house.
Sure.
And that's what we've been working ever since. I was like, wow, that was more incentive for me because I didn't even get that in my own family business before.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, you work hard, you get rewarded, right?
Yeah.
So we are all about sharing the, the wealth with everybody that works here. I mean, anybody knows that, that works with us long enough that they don't have, if they ever need anything, they get it, we're right here for them. So with Gemelli, it was different experience because that was a 30-day thing, right?
Yeah.
Gemelli was a year.
Right. Right.
It was post-pandemic, and it's just everything's different now. Permits took a lot longer. And then I'm not. It's just things are different. Like they're outsourcing things now. They're shorthanded. I get it. It's okay. Because when it comes down to it, like I said, there's no coincidences and there's no mistakes. There's only opportunities for lessons to be learned. And I just had to throw it up to the universe and be like, hey, this is taking longer than I thought. We were using a place as a commissary kitchen, so I didn't feel like I was just dumping money into something. So we were like prepping over there for here. And that's how the whole thing started. Strada grew so much that we outgrew our kitchen, and we really needed to find another facility that we can prep. And so by having that place was great, but I guess the management company, you can't have two entities. So we were sharing the space. The front of the house was shared with Earth Fair. They were using it as an office, and then we were using the kitchen. And it's a liability issue. I get it as a property owner. You don't want two entities sharing one space because if someone does get hurt or something happens, whose insurance does it go through? How does that work? So we were just so we were asked to make a concept, and that's what we did.
Do you okay, so one thing I wanted to, you had your Eric, what's his name?
Eric Booker.
Yeah. Did you buy the building? Did you end up buying the building?
So our goal was, he was like, yeah, I'm totally into selling it. I don't want to own it forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's work on this. But we did, like I said, we did everything with a handshake. So it was just like, it was all here, so like just by a conversation. And actually, the first 6 months of Strada, it was still on a handshake until the operating agreement got signed and settled and everything. So, and I don't recommend people doing that. I don't recommend people, because you just never know. Like, there's not, like you said, there's not a lot of Carlys out there, and there's not a lot of Eric Bookers and stuff like that. So,
yeah, there's a lot of risk in that. And more and more nowadays maybe than ever and stuff like that. But it's also a good sign that you've got good people if you're both willing to to do that.
And there's, I guess, a little bit of luck involved and stuff like that.
Well, with every success there is some element of luck, but but I like your mentality is, I share that, man. You can create a lot.
Go by your gut.
Yeah, you can create a lot of your own luck too.
Totally.
With the right mindset and work ethic.
Yeah, you can be very, you can do a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies by just being negative, and by being positive as well.
Reality is neutral, man. It's
I always like to say perception overrules reality.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Someone's perception becomes their reality.
Oh, well, it's interesting because you were talking about like getting through challenges or obstacles or things you fear. There's this great book I read years ago called Deep Survival. Mm-hmm. And it shares all these stories of people that have survived like really seriously risky experiences in the wild, whether it be like, we were hiking and this torrential storm came through that wasn't in the weather forecast, and lightning, and we got like stuck on the top of this mountain, or I got, my Cessna crashed and I was in the water out in the, just crazy stories where it's like, okay, stuff got bad real fast, like unplanned. And the lesson of this whole thing was that the people, and they went through all these different stories throughout history and the survivors' accounts and all this kind of stuff. And like maybe there was 5 people in a lifeboat, and 3 wound up living and 2 went crazy or something and died, or it was always, it went back to the point of this book was that the mindset was what determined survival, because the people that couldn't accept their new reality, they were like, wait a minute, I went on a Sunday hike, like I'm supposed to be eating dinner right now, and I'm stuck with like my friends on this top of this mountain, and it's freezing, and like I can't deal with this. Like this is not supposed to be like, like in other words, like it's a control issue and you won't let go and just accept it. Those people would wind up not making it typically. They were much more likely to not make it. Whereas the people that were like, all righty, well, here we are. Like, doesn't matter what I was planning. Like, here's what's happening now. Yeah. Now let's turn this into an adventure and figure out like, how do we manage through this? Right. Like, you got to just let go of what just happened. Let's figure. Those were always the people that that was like the survival, deep survival. Like it was a deep, thoughtful way to get from A to from one place to the next without when realizing like something completely unplanned happened, COVID, whatever. Well,
the restaurant business.
I mean, like yeah, like okay, well, like you're we can let it destroy us. Right. Sure, I mean it could, or we can just accept the reality and figure out how to, anyway, I thought of that. Like it's such a important mindset to have in business and life.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's what you try to teach your kids that and show that through leading by example and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, what's the name of that book?
It's called Deep Survival.
Deep Survival.
Yeah, I still have it. I'll send you my copy if you want to check it out. I mean, I read it like 10 or 12 years ago, but it's one of those books you read and like sometimes you read a book and you're like, yeah, I remember reading it. I don't remember if it was good. That book like really resonated because I thought a lot about that and like how I did, like I've changed the way I approach things a lot in part because of that. As you grow and you learn, like, man, bad things are going to happen. Like, dude, totally. You just got to like,
Well, it's any given day in a restaurant. Like,
well, that's my point. That's why I was saying how, like, I mean, I'm still questioning whether I could deal with it on a daily basis like y'all do. Like,
I just had this conversation with some leadership in our kitchen. I was like, look, you might have a plan, okay, but the restaurant business laughs at plans. Like,
yeah.
It just, so whether you have a plan or not, okay, first thing is to make sure that whenever you have a vision or a plan for your day or for whatever, and you're in leadership, you're supposed to be able to articulate that to the people that are working with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can. Okay. So you have a collective energy mindset that helps create and establish that and execute that plan.
Right.
Right. So if you're not good at communicating it, it's only going to be frustrating for everybody that's involved.
Yeah.
Number 2, screw the plan. Like, really, because what happens is the day, and when the day happens, it's going to happen the way the day wants it to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be able to adjust yourself and your mindset to fit the day.
Yeah.
And the plan could go out the window. It could be a whole, like, not 150% not your plan.
Yeah. You
got to recreate a new plan to fit the day.
Yeah.
And I just had this conversation with my kitchen leadership here at Strada. And it's like, so, and that's where, and you're right, that's where people fail because they can't get out of the plan. Well, this is not the way I planned it. And like, you're wasting time thinking about how it's not.
That's right.
Like, and what it is happening.
It's the Mike, like, the Mike Tyson quote?
Well, what's that?
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, how do you? Yeah, exactly.
So I want to ask you something, and before we wrap this up. But you mentioned before we started recording, I said, "What did you have for breakfast?" And you said nothing.
Okay.
which
Yeah.
was the same as me. And you said I do intermittent fasting.
I do.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. Like a lot of people are doing that these days. How long you've been doing that? Why are you doing that? And that's a bigger question, which really was what I'm trying to get to is talk about balance
Yeah, it can be out of balance with this business. Yeah.
This is a tough business to find balance. Mm-hmm. So you got to have it, for the team to have it. Hopefully the owner has it and cherishes that for him or herself and the team. You're a father, you're a husband, you've got, there's a lot of parts here that, need their piece of you. Mm-hmm. So to find that balance both with mental health, physical health, do you like eating, sleeping, exercising, taking care, like those are foundations to them being able to come, really, like, because they're huge, like massively important. Yeah. And if you're not getting those things, then it's a lot harder to come and give the people that are coming in here and patronizing you what the experience that you owe them and want to provide them.
Yeah, you have to take care of your own vessel. Like your body is your vessel through this life.
Right.
So if you're not, it's like any other vehicle that you have. Right? If you put garbage in, garbage is gonna come out.
Yeah.
If you drink a bunch of alcohol, your liver's gonna get angry, and you're gonna be an angry, volatile person.
Right.
So I'm really big. I don't really drink anymore. Because inflammation stuff. I don't want to. So I have twins. Okay, that are 2 years old. So sleep is not a big part of my life. But we're actually just got them off bottles, and they're actually starting to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
We started this week. October 1st was our pinnacle point where we were like, this is it. Okay, we're gonna do it. And it was hard. It's really
twins,
hard for me too, because it was it's a passing of a. I could almost get emotional talking about it because it was like a point where they're not babies anymore. Now they're moving into being like these little toddlers, and I know what that comes with, and then eventually they're getting older and stuff like that.
With two other kids, especially a 27-year-old, you've been through all of it now. You know how quick it goes.
It does go by fast.
It goes by real fast.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I love the whole process. I just love all of it. Even the sleepless nights and all of that stuff. It just, everything.
It's special.
Just enjoying it. I don't know. I can't say it's not hard or anything like that. It hasn't been frustrating at times and stuff like that. But it, when I look at it all as a whole, I just love all of it.
Yeah.
The experience. And so sleep is huge because if you don't get at least 5 hours of sleep, your metabolism is slows down by 75%.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, I've never been a big sleeper. Like I don't have I can go on 4 hours. Fine.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
As long as I get 4 solid hours of uninterrupted sleep, I can work a bunch, and keep going. And I don't know why. I was always wired like that. My son's wired like that, Gabriel. My daughter, Larissa, is wired like that as well. And then the other girls are not. They're all like sleepers.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, it's just it's hard to find that balance, and I think for me at this point, I'm probably a little bit. I'm not here at the restaurant as much as I used to be and stuff like that. So but also I'm not. It's not that I'm not working because I am. We're always working and stuff, but it's also. I'm also like I don't have a lot of downtime at home with all the kids and stuff like that and everything because any parent that wants to be engaged doesn't have a lot of downtime. When you're engaged with your family.
Sure.
So, the long and short of it is, I did it for inflammation reasons because I wanted to make sure that I think inflammation is a big reason for disease. Sugar. So I cut sugar out. Sugar, alcohol, which turns to sugar a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I only eat a few different kinds of meats. Don't do any grains. Don't do any wheat or anything like that. And then I don't do dairy either. These are all things that cause inflammation.
Yeah.
And then I try to work out. I play hockey twice a week.
Dude, you've got the.
Yeah.
It's been. Yeah, you got your appointment. your Kyra, right?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
We've been going an hour and 15 minutes. You probably got to.
Yep, I got 15 minutes to get to him. Yeah.
Oh, we need to wrap this up then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I did it for health reasons because I have an autoimmune thing with psoriasis, and I wanted to kind of mitigate that. And plus, I have a lot of, there's a lot of people that are depending on things that we're doing. So I want to make sure that I'm healthy and there for them, and feel good and clear-headed and everything. So I just took charge. I had, the restaurant industry grew. Like I grew the business with the help of, key people like Carly and Jason and Vlad, and my son Gabriel, and as the business grew, I grew. Yeah, I had gained like 70 pounds at one point.
Oh yeah. Well,
a lot of it was information, not just the fact. I would go home and drink a bottle of wine, and just have like charcuterie stuff, and eating because I was like, oh, I didn't eat anything today, not realizing that I picked on whatever, and right. So it'd be easy to do that, like share a bottle with somebody, and just next thing you know, you get a bottle and a half down, you get 4 glasses of wine. It's really high in calories and sugar and everything. So so in like about, I guess like 4 or 5 years ago, I lost 70 pounds.
That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and really took charge of my health and what I was putting into me. So it's super important that people realize that it's in the restaurant. We cater to a lot of like vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free items. A lot of Italian cooking is like that anyway. People don't realize it. But all our oils are clean. Like our fryer oil is made with rice bran oil. Mm-hmm. There's no additives in it that would cause like the anti-foaming agents and stuff like that, because those things cause cancer. Yep. So we make sure that we're paying like premium price for high quality oils, because that's the stuff that actually gets into your body and soaks into.
I wish more people knew that. So yeah, I'm big. We'll talk more some other time. I know you got to go. I've been through the whole all the dairy's not a problem for me. So I'm on more like the beef and dairy and fruits. Yep. That's good. Yeah, you might not be allergic to dairy. Some people. I'm not. I mean, I'm lucky. The protein stream. I mean, I drink a ton of milk, ate a bunch of cheese. I can't do that. I feel very lucky for that. I feel very lucky for that. I eat a lot of like healthy fats, but well, let's wrap this up so you can go. But this has been so awesome, and I really enjoyed it. I could talk to you for another hour, man. And maybe we'll just do another one sometime. I would love it anytime. This is a lot of fun. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's a wrap.